Hello and welcome to another video for myatmm.com. It's time to look for some transactions to track or some new positions to get into. So let's get right to it. All right, here we are on the ThinkerSwim trading platform, and we had placed a cash secured put on the stock ticker BITO to basically cash flow Bitcoin. So we need to see what the result of that cash secured put was, see what it executed at, and go log that transaction into the web application and see where we're at. All right, so let's go over to the monitor tab. We're in the IRA, so there's BITO. From this, it looks like we were assigned. So let's look at the account statement. So coming back to last week when this order was placed, actually, let me get rid of this filter here. Okay, so there's that. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so here is where we placed that order back on March 31st. So if we look at the calendar, yeah, March 31st was last Sunday. All right, and then the next morning at 8:31, so 1 minute after open, it executed. So we placed that order for the cash secured put with a strike of 32 with a limit of 180. When it got filled, we got filled at 186. So we got filled for more than we were asking for, so that's good. So let's go ahead and go over to the application and track that. And then furthermore, the result of that, it looks like we were at a strike of 32. I think the price went down to 29. Let's just go look at the chart for BITO. So yeah, it's just been choppy, jumping up and down here. So the last traded price is 29. So yeah, we definitely got assigned. All right, so we'll go ahead and log both these transactions into the application and then start looking for another position. All right, here we are on the web application. We just got logged in, so we're setting on the dashboard. Before I go over to track the transaction that we're looking to track, let's just re-verify that the brokerage amount matches. Let me bring up ThinkerSwim and get that up on the screen. There we go. So we can see prior to the transaction of the cash secured put being logged, the balance was 101, 25, and 25. So the brokerage amount definitely still matches just like we left it. So we need to track this transaction of the cash secured put. So we come over to the cost basis screen. We have no symbols that we're tracking, so that's why the drop down just shows the select like that. What we need to do is click on the add button and then type in the stock ticker symbol and then click save, and that'll add it to our cost basis drop down. And we need to put a new position on the board as a draft. The start date for it, coming back to ThinkerSwim, it looks like the start date was April 1st. So let's go ahead and just set that date. We sold to open a put. That's also known as a cash secured put. We did one contract. The expiration was this past Friday on April 5th. The strike price was 32, and we received 186 per share on that. So we're going to click save here, and it's going to move from the draft positions into the appropriate group, which would be this puts. So click save, and it moved it down into the puts group. And it also added this proposed temporary transaction. Again, this is just a proposed temporary work area. These numbers don't matter. They're just put here to serve as helpers to get them into the permanent transaction history. And based off of whatever your preferences are set up, based on like a sell to open or a buy to open, it will pump these commission and fees in that you have preset over on the preferences page. So 65 cents, as you can see, is what the ThinkerSwim commissions are. The fees are a penny off, so let's go ahead and increase that by a penny. And this is a number picker. You can either press the up, down arrow. You can manually enter the number if you want, or you can press the up and down arrow, and it'll go up and down by a penny. So we need 2 cents. All right, so now when we click this blue button, it's going to basically calculate, take the 186 plus or minus the commissions and fees and put that number in here, and it moves the description down and the start date. So we can add this to the permanent transaction history. This toggle is indicating whether or not it's a stock. These are options, so this is unchecked or untoggled or set to false. All right, so we click the save button to add the transaction, and it adds it to the permanent transaction history. When we did that, it updated the credits we have received, and so the summaries have all updated now that it's in the permanent transaction history. Prior to saving this down here, these numbers were 0, and in fact I can demonstrate that. So let me just quickly just delete this. We're going to re-add it, but I'm going to go ahead and delete it, and as soon as I delete it, you can see the summary updated and the credits went away, so it's no longer tracking it. And again, we can move it back down, click save again, and then I'll add it back to the transaction history, and again the summary is updated. So that's just a way you can see how the screen is working. All right, now the result of this transaction, now that we're a whole week later, you can see over in ThinkerSwim, we were assigned. So that basically made us purchase the stock options that we had sold this cash secured put on. So from the drop down, we can say we were assigned, and we can go ahead and start entering this. The assignment date, we can go ahead and just use whatever's showing in ThinkerSwim, which was the 6th. So their system's updated and put it as the 6th. It's automatically going to be a buy to open because we're buying stock. The assignment type is stocks. It's 100 shares. There is no expiration and no strike because that's not applicable to this. The assignment price would be the same as this strike, which is $32 for assignment total of $3,200. Now, when I click submit here, it's going to add some records to the proposed records right here in this grid, but it's only going to reflect this first row because that's the way this submit save works. But it's additionally going to take this assignment right here and add it as a stock record in this grouping here. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit, and you'll see that. All right, so I click submit. You notice this increased by 1. Let's go ahead and expand it so we can see that record. But as you can see, like I said, it just added this record right here, or this group right here, to the proposed transactions, and we don't really need that. But like I said, this is a temporary work area, so it is always just saving down here. So I mean, like if I'm not going to click submit again because then it'll try and add another record here, but what we need to do is remove this. And I don't do that automatically just in case if you made an error or something and like this was supposed to be an assignment price lower or higher, you can actually resubmit it or re-add the records, and you can just clean these positions up as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that one up right now. This put is no longer needed, so I can remove it. And what we need to do is we need to log this stock assignment because as you can see, it's not in the permanent transaction history down here. Now, number of ways to, or a couple different ways to do that. We can manually enter the description down here and manually enter the amount, or something that I like to do that I put in a system that makes it easier is you can click on the save button as many times as you want. All it's going to do is just update the data that's in these fields. So you can constantly change these amounts and click save, and it just updates this record. It doesn't add like repeatedly a duplicate records or anything like that. It just updates this singular record. So by clicking, and also when you save, not only does it update this record, but it also adds another record to the proposed transaction history. So you can get the helpers produced for you. And primarily, entering the amount's not such a big deal, but producing this consistent formatted text is the primary benefit by doing it this way, because it'll consistently put the side, the type, the quantity, the expiration date. It'll put all that in uniformity. So when you're looking through your transaction history, it's a very common set of things to look at. So it's easier to look at. All right. So by clicking save, see, it added that record. And to just prove my point, you can click this multiple times. So I'm going to click it a second time and a third time. And as you can see, it just added that to here each time. And if you adjust this amount and click save, it'll adjust the amount. See? And it updated this record, but we definitely don't want to do that because that's not the actual amount. So we're going to click save again, and again it produced the record. Okay. In ThinkerSwim, as you can see, there's no commissions and no fees, so zeros and zeros works fine. We're going to go ahead and click this, and notice on this one, since it's a stock purchase, it actually turned the toggle on. And now we just need to click save right here to add it to the permanent transaction history. So now it is, and now we can come back up to the totals and see how the shares owned has updated. And we have all this information correct. Now I will say it's saying the stock gain, the overall gain loss is 3,200. That's because the last price hasn't been pulled in for this ticker. What I need to do is it doesn't update automatically. So let's go back to the dashboard real quick and then come back into cost basis. And doing that, you can see it did pull in the stock price. And now our unrealized loss is 249, and we still have the gain of 185 from the premiums that we've collected. So our overall at this point is slightly negative because our overall unrealized loss is more than the credits that we've pulled in. All right. What we need to do now is, now we own some shares, so we can actually sell a covered call on this, and proceeding with the continuous wheel strategy, we need to look for another cash secured put at or below this 29.50. So we do that again so we can play both sides. One of the sides is guaranteed to win because the stock can only go, or the stock ticker can only go in one direction, up or down. So one of the sides will win guaranteed every single week. All right, let's go over to ThinkerSwim and look for that position. Here we are back at ThinkerSwim's trading platform, and I need to go ahead and get our cost basis up on the screen so it'll help us while we're looking at this from the website. So there we go. We got our cost basis setting at 32, and the cost basis with premium is at 30.15. Okay, so we need to jump over to the Analyze tab, and we already have BITO selected, so that's good. And we want to look out to the next expiring Friday, and what's our cost basis? 32. So right here, 32, it looks like we can sell a covered call for between 27 and 31 cents. So in this bid column, we will left click here, and we should be able to get the midway between the bid and ask. So it's 27 cents to 31 cents. And something else that I just now thought about, that instead of us doing the math all the time, I wonder if the mark is an available column here in ThinkerSwim. So let's just go look for that real quick. I'm going to click Customize, and I'm actually just going to type in mark. Look at that, it is. So if I add that here, click OK. So yeah, like right here, so now you got the mark already for you, so you don't even have to do any counting calculations. But just to be mindful, so 27 to 31 cents, that's 4 cents, so we should only get 2 cents, so 2 cents greater than 27 is definitely the 29. And I'm wondering if we click on that, if it'll put it into this row appropriately. So we're going to go ahead and delete this to remove it out of there, because I'm interested to see what this does. So I'm going to left click on here. Okay, it didn't do anything. As you can see, it didn't do anything. We could probably do an analyze sell trade single and see what it does. That moves it down, but again, see, it only put the 27, so there's no benefit by doing that. But does help to have it up on the screen. So what we would need to do is, again, on this bid column, we can left click it because it's the strike price is 32, and our cost basis, as you can see in the application, is 32 right here. And that we do that so we can still cash flow the position, and if it executes, we get out of the position with zero capital gains. So there's no capital gains to worry about. You have the gains from the premium sell, but that's the whole point of this. We are just trying to cash flow a stock ticker, and that's all this is accomplishing. We are basically selling premium on a stock, and we're getting in and out of it at the same price, generally speaking. Now that won't always be the case, because if you play this long enough and the stock price stays down or it keeps on going down a little bit further, you'll have more cash secured puts, and if those fire, they'll pull the dollar cost down. They'll average it down, so you will run into scenarios where you do get into some capital gains at some point. But in any case, okay, so we left clicked on this column is 27. We can see clearly right here the mark is 29. So this basically just allows us to be lazy, so we don't actually have to do the math between the ask and the bid. We can just say, okay, the mark, which is the midpoint between the bid and ask, is 29, so we can just up this to 29, because you should be able to get basically the middle between those two, generally speaking, pretty consistently. So we always try and do that. All right, it's one contract because we have 100 shares, and we will right click on this, click confirm and send, just verify this information looks accurate, which it does. So let's see, so we're getting a credit of that minus the commissions. Yep, all that looks good. It is in the IRA account. Always make sure that that matches. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click send. So that is now queued. Today's Sunday, obviously it's not going to fire today. It'll start trying to execute first thing tomorrow morning. All right, and now we also want to play the other side and look for a cash secured put position. The current trading price last traded at, it looks like 29.51, so that's like right on the border. Another thing I wanted to point out is extrinsic value. I have that column showing too. So you can see this 29.50 strike has $1 worth of extrinsic value, and you're probably saying, well, how does it have more than 97 cents? Again, that's that mark between here. So this is all extrinsic value, and the mark, as you can see, is the $1.05. So that's the same amount. Anytime you have an out of the money option like this, all of the premium is pretty much all extrinsic value. It's only when you get into in the money options that they have intrinsic value. So you can see it's $1.25, but only 91 cents of it is extrinsic value. And the extrinsic value is just the time value that it has in it. All right, 29.50, sticking with what we're doing, we play the at the money option strike, which is 29.50 in this case. So what we do is we go to the bid column, and we're going to sell a cash secured put. So we left click on this column. That'll add the sell down here. And again, the mark is $1.05, but I mean, so it's basically $1 because we can't do fractions of pennies. That's only in the math calculation. So we'll up that to $1. And if you did want to do the math real quick, you can see that's 7 cents, but obviously we can only go up 3 cents because we can't go up 3.5 cents. So that's why it's $1.97 plus 3 cents. So that we just checking these numbers again. Yep, all this looks good. We will right click on this row, left click confirm and send, verify this all looks good. Looks like we'll pull in a 99.35 credit here, and we go and again verify the account and click send. So now we have those two orders queued. We have the covered call and the cash secured put queued. So next week we'll review what happens with these, and I'll monitor them. You know, if as usual, if they haven't fired within the first 30 minutes of market open, I might have to adjust them up or down depending on what the price of BITO does when the market opens. But yeah, we'll review this next week. Actually, one last thing, and actually let me get this off the screen. Okay, yeah, one last thing. We want to go ahead and confirm the brokerage amounts match to make sure all our premiums and the stock assignment and all that stuff worked out. So we come back to the dashboard, and also something else nice to know is to go to the premiums, see how much premiums we've collected so far. So far for April we've collected 185. So let me bring up ThinkerSwim on the screen real quick. So here's the account statement again on ThinkerSwim. And if you look at the ending balance, this 98,1058, so you can see right here that matches the brokerage. So that's how we know we have gotten all of the assignments and the stock options and the premiums, and we've basically entered everything correctly. We know that because these numbers will match the brokerage. You'll notice how it went down from the 101,000 to the 98,000. That's the reason, because we purchased the stock. So in the brokerage account statement cash balance, it does not include the purchase of any stocks. Those are outside of the cash balance. So here you can see we have the stock cost value and the stock value right here, because it's selling for less than $32 a share right now, and you can see that unrealized gain loss. This comes into real handy because if you have multiple positions, it gives you the overall totals for all those up here, which is really nice to see a bird's eye view of the entire account. But yeah, that's how you reconcile this. You look over here on ThinkerSwim, that account balance right there should match this brokerage amount right here. And that's how we know we did that correctly. And something else to point out real quick. I don't think you guys can see it on the screen. Hold on. Yeah, I came back over to ThinkerSwim real quick because I wanted to show you. This price, the 98,000, doesn't account for the stock value. But if you were interested in that amount in ThinkerSwim particularly, you can always look at this net liquidated, and that you can see that's 100,972. So basically, if you were to cash out of all of your stock positions and all of the option positions, this is basically the roundabout number based off of what those sold for, of what your net liquid cash value would be. That's what that number represents right there. So anyway, just wanted to come back and show you how to reconcile the transactions that you did and how you know if you got them all entered correctly. Again, we'll review everything again next week based off of the orders that we just submitted. I want to thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and go out today to myatmm.com and get your free account so you can start tracking your own transactions. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.